Pablo Escobar, one of the most infamous criminals in modern history. Known as the King of Cocaine, he ruled the Medellin cartel, which dominated the cocaine trade into the United States in the latter half of the 20th century. At the height of his power, Escobar oversaw vast coca plantations and smuggling operations that moved hundreds of tons of product. His empire became legendary, but it was hardly the first built upon the coca leaf. Long before Escobar, the Inca and their predecessors had cultivated the coca plant for centuries. They used it not as a recreational drug, but as a sacred and practical tool in both ritual and daily life. The coca plant is a shrub-like bush native to South America. Indigenous peoples have used it for thousands of years to battle the hunger, cold, and altitude of the Andes. Archaeological evidence of its earliest known use goes back about 8,000 years, where coca leaves were discovered on the floors of homes in the Nanchoc Valley of Peru. Alongside the leaves, archaeologists found ground calcite. This was proof that people already understood how to enhance coca's effects by mixing it with alkaline substances. Chewing coca leaves on their own produces only a mild stimulation because the majority of alkaloids remain locked within the leaf tissue. By adding calcite, lime, or ash, the pH of the mouth rises, breaking down the tissue and releasing the active compounds more effectively. Although the exact details of coca domestication remain unclear, we know that all cultivated varieties descend from wild ancestors, likely Erythroxylum gracilis. Scholars believe coca was domesticated independently at least twice during the Holocene. Over time, coca became one of the most culturally significant plants of the Andes. The Inca inherited coca from earlier cultures and attributed its mind-altering qualities to divine status. They believed the plant was sacred, a gift that could connect humans with the gods. Archaeological finds show coca leaves placed in the mouths of Inca mummies, especially emperors, who were still seen as sources of wisdom after death. Leaves were also left at shrines and mountain passes as offerings, considered the highest form of plant tribute. Coca was tightly bound to ritual life. During Capacocha ceremonies, a sacrifice to honor momentous occasions like an emperor's ascension or times of crisis like natural disasters, children were chosen from across the empire and given coca leaves and alcohol to ease fear and induce an altered state before death. Their burials often included textile bags filled with coca, and chemical analysis of preserved remains confirms coca ingestion before sacrifice. Priests also used coca in divination, burning leaves with llama fat and interpreting the flames to predict the future. Before chewing, people commonly offered 3 coca leaves to the wind as a gesture to the gods, or buried them in pits for Pachamama at the beginning of the rainy season to ensure good harvests. Although elites used coca for ritual, its role extended far beyond the temple. Workers, soldiers, and especially the chasquis, the relay runners of the Inca postal system, relied on coca. Chewing leaves eased hunger, thirst, and fatigue, helping messengers run across the Andes and allowing laborers to work longer hours in harsh conditions. Some scholars argue that coca contributed significantly to the empire's ability to complete monumental projects like terraced farms and stone fortresses. Because coca cannot grow above about 2,600 meters, the Inca expanded into lower, more humid valleys to secure reliable cultivation zones. These areas, particularly on the eastern slopes of the Andes, became vital for maintaining imperial supply. After the Spanish conquest and the collapse of the Inca Empire, coca became even more widespread. At first, Spanish missionaries condemned coca as a pagan drug, but colonial authorities soon realized its value. King Philip II formally acknowledged coca's importance to Andean peoples while urging missionaries to suppress its religious uses. Rather than abolish it, the Spanish encouraged coca chewing among indigenous laborers, especially in silver mines like Potosí. Workers who chewed coca could endure hunger and exhaustion, making them more productive. In this way, coca shifted from a sacred leaf of empire to a tool of colonial exploitation. For centuries, coca in Europe was largely confined to wine extracts as coca spoiled quickly over sea. That changed in the 19th century. In 1855, German chemist Friedrich Geidke first isolated the plant's active alkaloid, which he called erythroxyline. 4 years later, Albert Niemann refined the process and coined the term cocaine. Cocaine quickly entered European medicine as a powerful local anesthetic and stimulant. It was promoted by figures like Sigmund Freud, who believed it had therapeutic value. At the same time, Coca itself found popularity in Europe in the form of cocaine wine, most famously Vin Mariani, endorsed by celebrities, scientists, and even popes. By the late 19th century, Coca and cocaine had spread far beyond the Andes. They reshaped global medicine, industry, and eventually crime, setting the stage for the drug empires of the 20th century.